As part of the Safe and Separate Sleep campaign, I'm excited to be joined today by 3 dedicated doulas who are making a real impact in our community. Chelsea Cannon, Shanice Wesley, and Omar Jones from Great Lakes Bay Health Centers and CMU Health. They're here to share their insights, experiences, and the important work they're doing to promote safe sleep practices for families everywhere. All right, so let's start with the basics. What exactly is a doula, and what kind of support do you provide to families? And I just want to give that question to you, Chelsea.
Okay. A doula is someone who can help provide physical and emotional support. We are another part of your support system. We're not here to replace anybody. We are here to be a part of your team. We do provide educational support.
What about you? How would you explain the role of a doula?
So Chelsea covered a lot of it. We do provide that education. We provide that physical and emotional support. So we're just that addition to your team already in place. You have a medical team when you meet your OBGYN, when you meet maybe your midwife, whatever that case may be, as well as your family support team. We kind of meet in the middle of that. We kind of play that liaison between your medical staff and yourself. So we provide that cushion when you're not quite sure if you want to reach out to medical staff or team. You reach out to us. We're kind of more, just a little bit more than of the friend kind of relationship that we develop. We've developed a nice little bond with our families. So we're kind of more of a friend versus that medical team, but we have access or a little more access to the medical resources.
I love it. I feel like this is a new term, though. I feel like Saginaw County is just starting to implement this doula program. So, I mean, can you talk a little bit about the history of it? If what are your thoughts around it? Is this something new to Michigan, or is it just new to me?
I would say it's something somewhat new to our current medical environment per se, but I know that doulas have traditionally been around for many, many years, even without necessarily being called a doula. So you can go back to like the granny midwives and, people who did a lot of work, especially for people of color, where getting access to healthcare wasn't always easy. And so there would be those individuals in the community or within families that would provide that support through pregnancy, labor, delivery, as well in the postpartum phase. And so I think that what has allowed for this opportunity for things to grow where we are starting to have doulas in the actual medical space, medical environment, is taking that model, taking what the successes were from those experiences and actually adapting and adopting those into the healthcare space. And so while it's not necessarily new overall, it is something that is being more recognized. I know for me as a community health worker, I learned about doulas or became more acquainted with doulas in the space from the umbrella term. So a lot of community health workers would also be doulas or working in the labor and delivery or pregnancy space. And so it's been more accepted nowadays to have doulas as part of your team. So I think it's an awesome experience. I also have family that was a doula, that were doulas in the South that did this work for a long time.
So this is like family history over here.
Yeah, it kind of is.
In the genes, it's in genetics. Yeah,
Right
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about the doula program. You guys, Shanice and Chelsea, you're both with Great Lakes Bay Health Centers. Talk about your doula program. What is it like? How can people enroll?
So our doula program is actually, I think, an amazing program, being that it is already housed in a medical facility. So when you're introduced to your OB care, you have the option of being introduced to a doula. So basically, while you're at your OB appointments, doulas come down. We introduce ourselves, our services, let you know what a doula is and what we're about, and we offer those services to you. The patients or clients do have the option to accept or decline services.
We are currently only accepting Medicaid as of right now.
Okay.
And if you have insurance, we can go through the steps if you qualify for secondary Medicaid as well.
Yeah. Interesting. And what about you, Omar, with CMU Health? You're a doula there.
Yeah.
A fairly recent role.
Yes.
So talk to me about that at CMU.
Yep, same thing. We service a lot of the same clients, the same patient population. And so it's a lot of just providing that service, letting them know about our services, offering ourselves as a support system. I think that a big part of it for me has also been working with the Center and Pregnancy Group as well. And a lot of that is education and also just providing that comforting environment for people to actually experience pregnancy and walking through that journey. And so I walk alongside them to make sure that they have what it is that they need. If they're looking for resources, help them to connect with those resources, or just a person to talk to. I'm there to listen and, provide that direction, and see if there are certain things where, maybe you haven't had this conversation with someone else and it's the first time coming up. Now I can take that back to your team to say, hey, here's a concern that you may not have been aware of. And so let's think about what we can do to actually support this family at this time. So.
Or even being present during visits, knowing like, hey, we've had this conversation when the healthcare provider asked, do you have any questions? Hey, you remember that conversation we talked about? So it helps bring up different concerns or questions because like we've might have been texting about it or whatever. So it's also like it helps.
That's so interesting because I think sometimes it can be an intimidating situation when you're talking to your healthcare provider, and maybe you have thoughts of ways that you want to deliver your baby, and maybe they could be against it. But it sounds like you guys are really supportive in that moment. I'm kind of curious to know. I know you stated that it's Medicaid patients. What about the people who aren't on Medicaid? Can they still have a doula?
There are doulas that do different payment plans.
Okay.
So we do only accept Medicaid right now, but there are ways, like if we were to do enrollment to see if you were able to get Medicaid for a secondary, like I said, there is an option for that. But there are, like, we can reach out to other doulas that are currently accepting private insurances as well.
Okay. So they can still get access to a doula,
absolutely.
even
We
if
want
they aren't on Medicaid.
our community to have the most collaborative, supportive care.
And what about CMU? Is it only Medicaid patients as well?
Same thing with Medicaid, but at the same time, we do refer out, based upon, whoever comes in and say, hey, we can make this referral for you. Much like what Chelsea just mentioned, to say, hey, there are other doulas who are accepting other forms of payment. And so maybe that's a good route for you. So helping to provide that as a lane of access to the clients as well.
I'm curious now because when we're talking about payments, is there a certain cost or can you guys give me an estimate of how much that service would be for a person who isn't a Medicaid patient but wants a doula? Do you know about what that cost is?
I believe that is up to the individual doula.
Okay.
Each doula is able to kind of prioritize, I guess, figure out what type of service. So based on the services that the client is looking for and the type of services that the doula provides, so each client can potentially need different services, and some can have a lot greater needs where some may not have as much of a need and their visits may be sporadic. So it can vary depending on what their needs are.
And how many visits that they have.
Okay. Tell me about some of the success around having a doula. Like, what have you seen in your profession from taking that patient who was pregnant, now they've had the baby? Can you talk about a success story? Or what does success look like with the doula?
I think for me, in general, I do tend to deal with a lot of younger clients, and a lot of my clients tend to be under 25. So for me, it is seeing those clients, maybe it is completing high school, even though they have had their baby. Seeing some of those get out into the world in general on their own, whether it's getting their own housing, getting out into the workforce, and just being able to feel themselves independent and being able to care for their child and not feel that they are a burden on their family, let alone society.
That is so interesting. I wasn't expecting that answer. Honestly, I wasn't, but that is so fascinating.
I do have a lot of the girls come back with it. They feel that, especially early on in the pregnancy or even early on postpartum, that their struggles are going to be somebody else's problem and that they can't overcome certain situations, and they're stagnated by this pregnancy or this new baby. And we've had teen moms since I can't think how far back, and instead of looking at what we can't accomplish, I am one that likes to encourage them and show them what they can accomplish. So when we get to sit back and revisit, look at where we started and look at where we've come. And I have quite a few moms that have made a lot of strides and a lot of achievements over the last year and a half. So seeing them just develop into their role and sit comfortably as a new parent is phenomenal for me.
Oh, wow. That is awesome.
That's beautiful.
That is. I wasn't expecting that, but that is really, I love that. What about you?
I agree. I think it's the same. I think just having healthy, happy babies is important, as well as seeing the success of healthy, happy families as well. And so I think once families have that support that they need, knowing that they were educated, knowing that they were encouraged along the way, and kind of just having that feeling on the backside of things, and like, now the pregnancy is over, I actually did it, especially for dads, and being able to advocate for them, because I've talked to and worked with a lot of fathers who oftentimes felt invisible or didn't necessarily know what their place in their space was, when it comes down to pregnancy and delivery and postpartum. What are those things I should be doing? I don't know. Even if they had an active father in their life, sometimes there's still questions, but especially for those who they just don't know. They just, they didn't have the best relationship with their father. And so now looking for that model, they're kind of coming up blank, and it's like, what do I do? Okay. And so rather than leaning into that maybe flight side of the fight and flight stage, it's like encouraging them to stay in. You know what I mean? Don't check out.
Giving them the tools.
Give them the tools that they need so that they can navigate for themselves and advocate for themselves as well, and to be able to show up in not just labor and delivery, but also in postpartum and at those well child visits and things like that, to say like, hey, I'm a dad. I'm an active father. I'm here. I know what's going on with my child, and I'm prepared for this visit. So seeing that and, just having, when I have conversations with them and, they don't have any particular needs or concerns, it's like, all right, great. You know what I mean? So you're on a good track, but just know that, I'm here for you if you need me. And at the same time, still continuing to encourage moms as well, and helping to make sure that their needs are being met and that they have a voice, and being able to have autonomy over their own health. So it's an amazing experience. Those things, things I'm proud of. So yeah.
This is so awesome. Like I feel like we're getting two different areas of success, and again, I feel like doula is a new term for myself, and I think also for our community. But to hear it on a male perspective is really great as well, and I'm happy that you're doing this type of work, because I do think guys become invisible in that department.
And breaking those barriers, like Shanice was saying, like, once you get someone to open up to you, like, we can help you. Yeah. And we do a lot of postpartum support, and I want to emphasize on postpartum support. Like, we can come help do some dishes, like cleaning, like help you sit with baby while you do some self-care.
Wow. So it's not only being in the appointment room with the mom and doctor and husband, or it's also going to the house afterward.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And that's like, sometimes we get lost at the postpartum stage, and you don't know who to reach out to. So I like to try to emphasize the postpartum care is so important.
Absolutely.
And like what you were saying about the dads, like educating them on the comfort measures during labor, like getting them in there, like, hey, do some hip squeezes, like get in there. Because she's comfortable with your touch, and that just helps progress labor. And
our dads, my favorite thing to remind our dads, even at our first meeting, is our goal is to bring you out of the corners, for you to be seen. What we fail to realize, we talk to our moms all the time about skin to skin and how comforting that is for you and your baby. Have you ever thought about how comforting that is for you and your partner? How many times have you gone home from a hard day at work, and just the touch from your partner, resting their hand on your shoulder, your head on their chest, whatever the case may be, that comfort, that relaxation, that lowers your heart rate alone. And just realizing just you putting your hand on your partner's arm can help release some stress for her. So just that simple thing. You don't need to perform a cartwheel in the delivery room. You don't need to actually be there and catch baby coming out of the vagina. But if you can just sit there and just rest your hand. You don't have to have the perfect words. Your hand on her arm is just enough to comfort her, enough to give her that extra push she needs to get her through.
And that's what you're communicating to them.
Absolutely.
In those
Absolutely. I actually get the privilege of running a dad's group with Great Lakes Bay Healthcare Centers for our dads, so that we get to remind them just how important they are. You aren't just a cash cow. You aren't just an ATM. You aren't just the provider and protector. You are also a nurturer. And sometimes we forget how to teach our fathers that.
Oh, I feel like there's so much more to say about that. Because you are so right.
I'm a complete boy mom, so I look at it from a totally different perspective, and how I'd love to see my sons viewed, how I'd love to see them behave, and how I'd love to see them show up. So those are the kind of things that I look at when we bring into the dads group, the kind of things we hope that the dads are interested in is, how do we get you to feel comfortable showing up? How do we get you to feel that these OB appointments are just as much your appointments? This labor and delivery is just as much yours as it is hers.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
We couldn't be in labor and delivery without dad.
Right. How do we get there?
Can't happen.
Right.
Just can't. We kind of need them. So we need them through the whole thing.
Yes.
So.
Wow. I'm just blown. I mean, just the answers. And I think what's so great about the work that you're doing is that you guys all have like these different walks of life. Yeah. And sometimes it's like, okay, maybe I don't want her, but I want her because we connect in a certain area. Do you find that happening with some patients? Like how are they able to choose the person that they think will work for them?
I think at Great Lakes Bay, what I loved about it is we do have a team. And it's one of the things in intros that I talk to our clients about, a potential client when I introduce them and I give them my information. I allow them to feel comfortable by telling them, listen, everybody doesn't necessarily vibe with everybody. Mm-hmm. And I'm 1,000% okay if I'm not the doula for you. There is a number on this card, and you're more than welcome to call that number, and we can match you with another doula who may be better matched. Mm. Chelsea is wonderful when it comes to meditation. That is something that that's an area I'm not strong in. Okay. But if this is a mom who meditation is her strong point, and that's something that she's looking for in her labor and delivery, I'm absolutely going to refer her to Chelsea and say, hey, you guys might be a better match. Mm. So yep. That's the great thing about having a team of us.
Oh, nice. So it's almost like a matchmaker service too, though, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit,
like, if you don't feel comfortable with me or however, there are other doulas. Like, do not feel stuck. We want you to have the best care. Yeah. Like, we want you to have a good experience. Mm-hmm. So,
I think that's empowering too for the patients too, right?
Absolutely.
Especially since we move more into patient-centered healthcare, right? So being able to have choice on who provides care for you, I think that's a powerful move to help make sure that people are okay. Mm-hmm. People are getting what it is that they're looking for versus feeling like, they're stuck with a particular person to provide for them just because that's just the choice that I have. Mm-hmm. But when you're given an option, now we're talking about real empowerment at that point in time, absolutely. Right? To say, this is the person I feel most comfortable with. This wasn't a person that was forced on me. This is who I chose. This is who I meshed with. This is who spoke to me, you know what I mean? This is what my family needed, and who checks the boxes for us, you know what I mean? And make sure that, we're getting to the place where we want to get to. So, again, putting them back in the driver's seat 100% to allow them to be able to have a choice as far as, like, who's going to be best for you during this time.
And I would also encourage, like, some clients or patients to do interviews. Yeah. Like, if you're not, like, I'm not sure if I meshed. Can I do like an interview? Can you like send me a couple of doulas so I can get to know them a little bit better? Because I know a lot of like doulas that do it outside, they do have an interview process.
So does that happen with Great Lakes Bay? You have that?
Typically?
No, okay. I don't think we interview so much as I think we usually pretty much we offer the services, we match with who we meet with, and we just offer them the opportunity that if they're not comfortable or if they feel that this isn't the greatest match for them for whatever the reason is, that they let us know, or they, like I said, they do have a number on our business card that they can reach out. But I think that interview process is kind of a cool idea.
And
honestly.
I also interview my clients. So it's back and forth. Yeah. I want to get to know you. I want you to get to know me. So we can create vibe so we can be comfortable together.
It just seems so healthy. I mean, I'm a mother. I had a child 11 years ago, and I just remember it was such a horrible experience.
Yeah.
Like, just the process of going to the doctor, it was so horrible. And I just wish I would have had like this type of network and help.
Yeah.
I think it would have made it a lot smoother. So talk to me, being a male doula. It seems new again.
Yeah.
I don't know how many are in the state. What is that like for you? And how do the patients receive you?
It's an awesome experience for me. I took it on as a challenge, not just for the challenge, but for me it's more so about answering a call, because I've heard many times where we as men need to step up and do things to support our women, not just as men and partners at home, but in every area of life, right? And so for me, what I hope to do is inspire other men to want to actually get into the space. Right now, I don't know of any other men who are actually actively working as doulas right now, though I do know several who have at least gone through the training throughout the state. And so maybe we need to connect a little bit more to see exactly, where they are. Something could have changed since last week.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. But I have connected with a number of doulas, male doulas, throughout the country who are in other states where it is moving a little bit more rapidly as far as like educating men and actually getting people to want to take on the challenge of saying, hey, I want to be certified to actually work in a space as a doula. And then for some men, it's just getting that information that is helpful and empowering so that they can not only just go through, the whole pregnancy process, postpartum process, just for their own individual spouses or partners, but also to just be support people for their own family members, you know what I mean? And so maybe they have a son and, their son is going to be a father and I can empower him, right? Equip him with the tools that I didn't necessarily have, And I think it's just awesome just to even be invited. So I take it as with honor, you know what I mean? Shout out to all of our women who've been doing this for so long. I'm be honest with you, I'm very humble. I appreciate just being accepted into the space. When I work with families, it's always an honor, because I am a guest, right? It's a privilege, you know what I mean? And I also think that it's very sacred work too, as well. So to be able to walk alongside and usher in new life and
So
to be
powerful.
a support person is very powerful, right? And so, and even in situations where, let's say, best case scenario didn't occur. Okay, so that's a whole nother situation.
That is.
And so walking a person through, who had these expectations for new life coming in, and then suddenly things take a turn and, know that dream has been deferred of actually having a child at this point in time, being able to provide them with the support that they need in those type of situations as well is very important. And so I've done some work with organizations and some families who've experienced infant and pregnancy loss, and to help encourage them and to help them heal through that process. And I think that's another part of it too that we don't oftentimes talk about. A lot of people suffer in silence. And so coming out of the shadows to be able to provide that support and talk about, what happens when that occurs. But nevertheless, it is the overall experience is an honor to be a part of empowering somebody through pregnancy, postpartum, and even being in the presence of labor and delivery. So
That was a beautiful answer. And it kind of segues into why we're even having this conversation. Saginaw County has put on this Safe and Separate Sleep campaign, and it involves Be Well Saginaw, the Health Department, Covenant, Great Lakes Bay, CMU Health, Perinatal Quality Collaborative. I want to make sure I name all of our partners. So the conversation is really about also infant health, and you did a perfect job. It's kind of like, I'm going to just go ahead and segue into that. But I also want to talk about safe sleep and you being a doula. How does, let's talk about that. What does it mean and why is it so important for newborns and helping families?
Safe sleep is, I want to say, probably one of the most confusing things for our parents. Going back, and I'm going to date myself here, but we have flipped and flopped on stomach, side, back, stomach, side for years. We've landed on sleeping on our back. We've gone from the most elaborative, decorative cribs you could ever imagine, with all the stuffed animals and teddy bears and all the things to welcome baby home with, to bare bones. Nothing in the crib. At this point now, wherever baby is sleeping, a fitted sheet, nothing else needs to be in there. We don't need a blanket. If we are worried about baby being warm, we need to swaddle baby, or we need to have baby in a full sleeper, or the I lost the word, Chelsea.
I call it a snuggie. I'm not even sure.
The swaddle. There we go. Thank you, Omar. The swaddle. So there are options to keep baby warm and still keep baby safe in the crib, bassinet, those kind of things, as well as we also went from co-sleeping. Co-sleeping was something that we were very comfortable with back in the day. Keeping baby close, felt we kept baby safe. I had my own personal experience. I almost lost my son that way. So safe sleep for me is something big when it comes to talking to my moms and my families about not co-sleeping, about what a safe crib or a safe sleep environment looks like for baby.
So are you helping the parent, like when you're going to the home visits, showing them how and what that environment looks like?
Providing education, helping set up cribs. Like we said, we are a home visiting program, so we do go to homes so we can help set up the nursery, help go over the crib, like what's supposed to be in there. We're here to help educate and not judge. So I just want to put that some cultures are sleeping with their babies.
Yeah.
I want you to, if that's what you're going to do, find the safest way to do it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not here to judge you, but I want you to be the safest that you can.
Be informed of the risk
Yeah.
that comes with,
Absolutely.
some of those
Educate.
cute things, right? Like, I love it. Like the teddy bears and, that special gift that maybe older brother or older sister wants to give the baby. And, like you said, going from having these elaborate cribs and things like that, but we want to assess the risk and make sure that, hey, we're doing the best possible thing. So right now, bare bones is what it is, alone, by themselves and their back in the crib, is the least risky. And so I know for me as a parent, I'm always looking for what's going to be the least risk, right? That eliminates as many worries as possible for me, right? So there's not a situation where I think everything is just cool and then all of a sudden something happens that I wasn't necessarily expecting, such as baby somehow got wedged in between a pillow and, a teddy bear, right? Totally innocent things that we weren't necessarily thinking about. We were only thinking about cute and aesthetics and things like that. But at the same time, this posed a risk for this baby at this point in time. So for me, I want to go on the side of what's going to be the least risky and give me the least amount of worries, to know that when I lay them down to sleep, that when we wake up in the morning, we're going to wake up happy, healthy, and whole again, and not, trying to figure out what happened in an emergency situation. So that's why I think it's important just to educate and let people know about, what are the possible risks when you do, decorate cribs or you're doing co-sleeping, things of that nature. Because it can be a tiring situation, right? Let's say,
mom's
especially brand new, right? And you don't want to make the mistake just you being exhausted and accidentally rolling over on baby, right? You don't want to make the mistake and kind of smother baby, just because you're exhausted, you're not feeling things, and baby somehow was wedged underneath you, or, their airway was blocked, or not having a proper crib to sleep in, or, sleeping in some area or some device of some sort that just isn't healthy for them, and, their airway gets clogged or plugged and they're not able to breathe down. So thinking about all of those things, and like Chelsea said, education is so important, you know what I mean? And I salute you, Shanice, for sharing your experience. Thankfully, you didn't have to experience that, you know what I mean? But you know firsthand how that feeling,
that
you know
rush,
what I mean?
yes.
Not to bring it back up to you, you know what I mean? But, it can be, there's so many risks, and I think it's important to just educate people about, that's why I think storytelling is so important, right? And being transparent
culture,
about what
yes.
we've experienced so that others kind of really get it, you know what I mean? This is not something I just read in a book and then just throwing at you and telling you to do or not to do. It's because of stories that I can tell, as well as what evidence-based research tells us about what's going to be safest for your baby at this point in time. And so throughout life, that's just the best way to go to inform the patients and people that we work with about why safe sleep is what it is and why we're sending the messages that we're sending right now.
That's a great answer. So it's making me think too, because sometimes I'll see people, and I was just online, like on TikTok or something, and they were like, yeah, once my baby falls asleep in the car seat, I leave him there or leave him in the stroller. What are your thoughts? Is that okay?
Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. I mean, and again, dating myself. My boys are over 20 plus, so it was a while since I've been told those things. But yes, back then we did. We left the child wherever they were sleeping because God forbid you disturb that sleep, and then your day was shot. But no, at this point, we've learned that leaving them sleeping in car seats, leaving them sleeping in strollers, you run the risk of them pinching their airway, that neck rolling forward, and they're not able to catch their breath. We're losing babies in what we thought was a safe place. They
Even
are
the
safest
swings,
in
yep.
the swings. They're safest in a crib, in a pack and play, in a bassinet, in items that are made for baby to sleep in. You know?
Updated items, though, too.
Yes.
Like, you don't want to be sleeping in a 30-year-old crib because it might not be up to standard now.
Yeah.
But firm mattress, just fitted sheet on your back, nothing else in the crib.
It's making me also think about the caregivers, though, and like siblings, and when they drop their baby off to grandparent, how are you informing those other people about infant safe sleep?
Well, we are hoping that mom and dads are passing that information along. We are hoping that family members are respecting mom and dad's wishes with their children when you're caring for their children. But we also hope that this is being talked about widely enough that everyone is hearing it. The safe sleep campaigns, I've seen the billboards publicly. I've seen the PSAs on general ads. You know what I'm saying? So they're not just in the OBGYN's office, so that's not the only place we're seeing them. The only thing we can do is just hope that as we continue to educate our clients and their support team, that they continue to filter that information out.
Setting boundaries. Set your boundaries. But also there are videos on YouTube. You can pull them up and show hey, this is what I want you to practice. This is what I need from you to do with my child. And if you need us to come over there and help educate them, hey.
Because you have some stubborn
And please
grandparents and family members sometimes.
absolutely.
Please respect those boundaries.
Yeah.
I understand that what we may have done is different. I mean, again, date myself. I'm a grandparent as well. And I have to respect my kids and what their wishes are when it comes to their child. It is no longer my responsibility, my obligation, nor my decision. I may not like it. I voice that I don't necessarily agree, I don't necessarily like, but I do have to respect what they're asking of me. And I would hope that the family members and the friends of these families respect these parents' wishes when it comes to their child.
I think it's important to have, it empowers families to have conversations.
Yeah.
Those important conversations.
Before baby is here,
Before
too.
baby arrives, right? So any tensions that need to, be dissolved, when we're at that point where baby is here, and it's like, remember, we've gone through this, right? We have practiced this, mom. I get it. You saved that crib for me for 30 years, right? And with the expectation of, someday grandbaby actually sleeping in that crib, but we're not going to go with that crib, and here's why, right? And also just informing them of what those risks are as well. Because at the end of the day, I don't think anybody really wants to be in a situation where they were the cause of why baby is, no longer with us or has had a experience that could be traumatizing later on that didn't necessarily end in the worst case scenario. But at least it was a scare, right? And I know I've heard of situations where there was a scare and that snapped that individual right out of it. But there's, I often say there's two types of wisdom. There's a type of wisdom that can come from someone informing you of something. And there's a type of wisdom that can come about because you've had that actual experience. There are certain experiences I don't want to have to finally say, I got it, right? It's like, I'm going to take this information right now to make sure I'm part of your preventative team, to make sure that, we aren't doing anything that's going to put your baby at risk. And so I think it's just important to have those conversations, like you said, prior to baby arriving, you know, and maybe there are people who come into your life later on, right, after baby has arrived, informing them of what your wishes are and empowering, you know, the family to say what their boundaries are and what their wishes are. And, you know, in some scenarios, you may have to cut ties in the interest for the child. Because at the end of the day, parents have to be the advocate for that baby, right? Baby can't speak for themselves. So, again, you know, that's when Mama Bear and Papa Bear comes out and it's like, check this out, dig this here, right? This is how this is going to be. If you can't follow and honor these wishes, then it can't be. And a lot of times, especially for new parents, it's your first time having that type of conversation. Right. And that could be intimidating, right? Because I've listened to mom, I've listened to dad my whole life. And so now I'm actually having to speak up for myself in this space to say, love you. I respect tradition, but we're going to do something different at this point in time. Yeah. Why? Because we want to make sure that we can continue to have other traditions, and we want to make sure that we can continue to have a safe, healthy, happy relationship. And so that starts with honoring my wishes at this point in time in the best interest of this child. So, you know, that's the most I can do is just encourage, you know, families to have those open, honest, blunt conversations.
Yeah. And I think we kind of speak to that when we start to cover our postpartum plans.
Yep.
When we talk about those, we do, it's a given that we talk about birth plans, but something I don't think a lot of people notice is that we do also cover postpartum plans. And we start to look like, what does life look like when baby comes home? What are your boundaries? What are your expectations? Who do you expect to help in what areas and what aspects? And this gives you that opportunity to kind of assign roles and tasks to family members and set your boundaries with them in a way that doesn't necessarily come off as wagging your finger at them kind of a thing. It's something that we as a family get to sit down and talk about, like, hey, guess what? This is what I'm planning to do when me and baby come home, and this is how I'd like you to help.
Right.
This is where I'd like you to be involved at, and these are the things I'd like you to do or not do. And these are my wishes. These are my hard no's. And we give our parents the okay to understand that this is your child. It is okay to set those hard no's and stand on that. Yeah. Because like Omar said, you are your parent. You are your child's only advocate. And if you can't advocate for them, nobody else can. So you have to be ready to stand on your wishes for your child at pregnancy, labor and delivery, into postpartum for a better set life.
And that postpartum period, it just doesn't get enough to me.
Right.
Like, that is so important. Like, we're preparing for this baby, but we need to prepare for after. When your hormones are dropping, when you're at home with a brand new baby. Like, so that's why we do postpartum plans. So we give them binders with birth plans, postpartum plans, and then there's a bunch of safe sleep stuff in there too. Okay, so you can take that and be like, hey, this is what I want to practice. Like, I have the papers, like, just so they can go over them and read them. But yeah, that postpartum care it's huge. And also, like, for the dads also suffer postpartum depression. So, like, knowing who to reach out to, like, making that plan together can make all of the difference when you're home.
I'm just, you guys are just talking, and I'm like, oh, I just wish I had this type of support. I have great family members, but I'm just thinking about, like, leaving that hospital because you're only in there for like a day or two.
Right.
And then you go home and you have this new life and you don't know what to do. And I was in my 20s. So that was scary. And as you said, you work with a lot of teen moms, and I can only imagine, but having this support is amazing. And just the work that you all are doing, I'm just in awe. Like, seriously. I mean, I've heard Anisha talk about it through Keys of Hope, but this is just another level of a conversation that I'm listening to, and this is amazing. And I want to thank you guys for doing such great work and changing lives and generations. Really, that's what you're doing,
and that's the goal.
That's what you're doing. Definitely
help the community. Like, let's thrive together. Let's be a community
again.
There you go.
Yeah,
I see a village. This is definitely a village. So, what's one piece of advice or encouragement that you would give to expecting parents who are feeling overwhelmed and they're unsure where to start? What piece of advice would you give them?
That's a good one.
Speak up for yourself. You know, let go of any type of guilt that you feel about speaking up for yourself and advocating for yourself. Reach out for help. Find individuals, support systems that you can trust. Give yourself a break. Give yourself some grace too, because I know a lot of information is coming at you, right? And everything is responsibility. Change this, do that. But also give yourself some grace too. And I think that's a big part of the self-care thing, right? It's doing those things that you need to take care of yourself. And I think that starts a lot of times with just speaking up and saying, hey, this is what I need. I'm a human being. This is what I'm experiencing. Who can help, and reaching out, I think is incredibly important, but definitely giving yourself some grace, to grow and to learn and, to make some mistakes here and there. You're going to make mistakes. It's inevitable, right? But at the same time, give yourself some grace and reward yourself for the things that you are doing well. And, again, build that village. Going to have an idea and a plan for how you want things to go, and at the same time, when things don't go necessarily exactly according to plan, still be okay with having to pivot when you need to, because sometimes pivoting from plan A, you actually find that you're in a better plan anyway, and it's like, wow, I didn't know I even needed that. I didn't think about that. But don't be afraid to speak up for yourself and take care of yourself. Love yourself.
And I love that, the give yourself grace. I tell my daughter all the time, like, this is my first time being a mom. We're learning this together. Like, she's 18, so I was young when I had her. Wow. And I'm just, like, we're in this together. We're learning together. I have to learn how to give myself grace. So give yourself grace. Try and find... I know self-care is always but try to find, journal. Try to find something that can ground you, to stay connected. Because during pregnancy and after, our hormones they're everywhere. So to be able to try to stay grounded a little bit can definitely help. And like you said, building community, sometimes it's hard. And sometimes it's really hard reaching out to others. So find a doula, someone who is non-judgmental. Absolutely. That I'm here, listen, I'm here to talk to you. You want to vent? I will be a listening ear. If you don't feel comfortable going to someone that, personally, therapy is excellent. Get it out, write it down, and communicate.
In the giving grace, I like to remind my families, thankfully, our kids didn't come out with an instruction manual. And these days and ages, I've checked the bottom of your baby's foot. I promise there wasn't a QR code. So there aren't any instructions. Right. Happy and healthy baby. If your baby is laughing and smiling back at you and your doctors are telling you your baby is healthy, you're doing a great job, mom and dad. You're doing the best you can. So there isn't a reason to beat yourself up. I mean, as much as they give us these rules to follow, I don't believe there is a right to or a wrong way to parent. It is doing the best you know how to do. Like Chelsea said, we're learning this as we parent. This is one of those training on the job trainings.
Yes, it is.
There is no instruction manual. As much as our mothers above us or our aunts next to us or whoever likes to tell us we're doing it wrong, your child can't be wrong if they're
boundaries.
happy.
Set those boundaries.
Keep those boundaries. Hold those boundaries.
Hold the line.
Hold those boundaries. As they say, what is our favorite term these days? Stand on business.
Stand on business.
That is your baby. Stand on business. Protect yourself and protect your baby.
And I even say just for dads specific, because again, dads oftentimes feel lost and visible. You matter.
Absolutely.
You're important. Your voice is important. You are a life changer.
Yes.
You are worthy of feeling.
Absolutely.
You don't have to walk through life like you don't feel. You're not a brick wall. It's okay. You feel your hormones are going through things during pregnancy as well. Trust and believe. I have been there. Like, what is happening to me? Right? And then even in the aftermath. And so thank you so much, Chelsea, for even bringing up postpartum depression for fathers and men. There were points in times where I didn't necessarily know exactly what was happening to me and what I was supposed to do. And I tried to hold that stuff in, and it was not working for me. You know, I didn't know what I was supposed to feel, what I was supposed to say. You know, so much of kind of feeling distant happens early on for a lot of men, right? From that first doctor's appointment sometimes, you know, and then you move into baby showers, right? Thankfully, we're moving more into like co-ed
Yes,
baby
I
showers
love the
now,
co-eds.
right? Which is great.
Yes.
It's amazing, right? But for a lot of men, they didn't have that experience. It was like, this not your place, move out the way, right? And then the labor delivery room, this not your place, stay out the way, right? Baby come home, this is not your place, stay out the way, right? So what happens in a man's mind when it comes down to all I've heard is, this not my place, stay out the way? Oh no, I don't want to become an absent father, or I'm not showing up in places in the ways that I'm supposed to because I've been told that this not my place, stay out the way, right? And so just encouraging fathers and the men that are in the lives of these babies, that you matter, you're important, you know, hang in there, find outlets that are healthy, right? You are a life changer. Your examples are going to matter in the lives of babies, not just, you know, during the first, you know, opening stages, but throughout life, through all the stages, you know, on through, you know, adolescence and, you know, into early adulthood and even into adulthood. I need my parents. You know what I mean?
My
So
mommy.
parenthood, it goes to that
Still
range, right?
Still.
And so, but you matter, and so connecting early, and even like what you talked about with skin to skin with dads and babies is important as well.
Yes.
You know, to feel that warmth, to feel that connection, to begin to have that vibe and that bond, and you know, kind of have that chemical reaction that takes place. It's kind of magical. It's beautiful. So do all the things, you know. Don't be afraid to speak up and even to drive the ship at certain points in time. Say, hey, you know, maybe it's the dad that has this information. It's like, hey, sweetheart, you should try this. I read about this the other day. You know what I mean? Did you know that? You know, so find your lane. You know what I mean, and work your lane and do what it is that your heart desires. You know what I mean, and don't be afraid to be active. I would say for anybody, be the parent, be the father of, you know, your wildest dreams as well. And so just be encouraged with that. So if I could leave any person with some piece of advice, I got so much stuff I can say, but I'm gonna leave it.
I'd like to piggyback off that, though,
Let's do
as
it.
I would like to also tell our moms, give our dads the grace. Remember something that has been a very big piece that I've been shouting for the last 20 plus years. We forget to teach our fathers to nurture. We never teach our fathers to be fathers until the moment they say so-and-so is pregnant. We look at our young men and we tell them, well, I guess you better man up now. We never taught them how. So I ask our mothers and our grandmothers who remind our mothers that, you know, our fathers need a lot of grace and reminders that not only are they important, but they need reminders on how to nurture. And we need to be more accepting of their route and what they're doing. It may not look like our way, but it doesn't make it any less important. And they're just as valuable. Their piece in their child's life is just as valuable as mom's. We need them.
Thank you so much. This has been an amazing and a beautiful conversation. Just before we end off, let them know how they can reach out to you, and then we'll go to Omar. How can they reach out to the doula program at Great Lakes Bay?
At Great Lakes Bay by reaching out to your OBGYN. Also, we can be reached at, I guess our individual emails. My personal is Shanice or swesley@glbh.org.
Mine is ccannon@glbh.org.
We'll put it on the screen.
Yeah, thank you. I was like,
Right
What about you, Omar?
The same OB's office, as well as Facebook page. You know, you can find out more information there by visiting the Central Michigan University medical page. My personal email address is jones40@cmich.edu. So you can reach out to me that way as well.
Oh, and I believe we're all on MDHHS's website as
And
well.
then there's
Yeah.
the
I
doula
forgot about
registry.
that, the
We're
doula
all
registry.
registered
Yes,
doulas,
the doula
so
registry.
we're
doula
there.
registry. Yes.
So that's another way. So yeah.
And you can select different, there's the doulas of Michigan on there, and you can select different counties. So that's a great resource.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this conversation.
you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yeah.